Dave Adams, Legislative Affairs Director with the Virginia Shooting Sports Association, joins us on the program. Dave, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Cam. Thanks for having me on.
It is my pleasure. And the snow has not stopped the session from continuing on in Richmond at the state capitol, right?
Well, they did have a rare snow day on Friday, but they did get up and running again yesterday.
All right. And so far in this session, we've seen already a number of gun control bills die in committee. A number of pro-gun bills are moving forward so far. But there is an attempt to go after, in particular, one gun store in Northern Virginia via legislation, although this might actually impact other gun stores around the state. House Bill 422, Senate Bill 138 would create a quote-unquote gun store-free zone, right? It would allow municipalities the option of, quote, prohibiting anyone from engaging in the business of selling firearms at retail within 1,000 feet of a school.
That's correct. I refer to that as the Nova Firearms bill because it was originally instigated by Northern Virginia legislators, both in the House and the Senate, that were present when Nova Firearms opened their new location back in September.
What's fascinating about this story for folks who have been following this is that this was not the original location that Nova Firearms wanted to move to. They had sort of outgrown their space in McLean. They had found a bigger store in Arlington, Virginia, and then anti-gun activists pressured the landlord to go back on the lease that had already been signed, which sent Nova Firearms looking for a new location somewhere.
That's absolutely correct. They were going to be in, I guess, what you'd refer to as a strip mall, for lack of a better term, and was just about ready to open up when the malcontents in the gun ban lobby started ginning things up, and the landlord caved and reneged on the lease that he had originally signed with the folks.
And so Nova Firearms found a place still in McLean, but I guess the property backs up to a school, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Now, there's no provision, again, in state law that prohibits this. And in fact, there have not been any issues that I know of in the entire history of the state of Virginia of gun stores located near schools that have caused any issues with crime or whatnot. Is this a problem in search of a solution, Dave?
I think you've described it very well. It's never been a problem in Virginia. In fact, Nova Firearms never had any problems with, even in their old location, there was never any issues with anyone who went into the store and did their business and came out and then did something to harm anyone, and that's not going to happen in their current location.
So what's going on here? Is this, I mean, other than a simple anti-gun move, under the guise of a quote-unquote common sense gun safety reform proposal, what do the anti-gunners get out of this?
Well, I guess the only thing that you could actually say they get out of it is that they were to win, and they'd get a little bit to crow about. But actually, nothing would be accomplished by this other than keeping lawful businesses from being able to open in a location that suits, whatever size or necessity they need to operate. Like you said, if they had been allowed to open up in their original location, this wouldn't have been an issue, and it would have, everyone would have asked, well, why you put it in this bill? But since Nova found a new location that just happened to be located near a school, they found some way to try to make as much hay out of this as possible. And there's been a couple of groups protesting up there around Nova, first when they opened, and then they I think it was a couple weekends ago, to supposedly show support for the legislation that was put in the House and the Senate. And the Senate bill is going to be up in Senate Courts of Justice tomorrow afternoon when the committee meets 30 minutes after the session adjourns.
Oh, really? Okay. So this will be up for a vote. It could either go out on if it passed out of the Senate Courts of Justice Committee, would it go to the floor of the Senate, or would it have another stop before it got to the floor?
No, it would go to the floor of the Senate. So my recommendation is for folks to contact the members of Senate Courts of Justice and urge them that to defeat the bill, that there's no reason to pass a bill like this. There's never been a problem in Virginia with something like this, and that, like you said, it's a solution in search of a problem. I feel confident that we can get the votes to kill it in committee, but I think it always helps to have gun owners to call and reinforce that they do not support the bill.
Absolutely. And how is the session going so far, Dave? Again, I said we've had several gun control proposals already defeated in committee. Our pro-Second Amendment proposals, are they moving in this legislative session?
Yeah, actually, constitutional carry was on second reading today, so in the Senate, and it will be up for final vote. It should be up for final vote tomorrow. It was read the second time today, which is the next step on the way to passage. There have not been a lot of the bills taken up in either the House or the Senate. The Senate has actually taken up more anti-gun bills than the House has taken up. There are quite a few left to be disposed of on both sides, and so at VSSA, we're watching the dockets and making sure that folks are contacting members of the committee. We expect that we will be successful in defeating all the bad bills, and we'll be concentrating on good bills like Senate Bill 713, Emmett Hanger's bill that would overturn Attorney General Herring's, doing away with recognition of 25 states' concealed carry permits. There are quite a few bills in that would do something, but I think 713 probably has the best mechanism because it creates a legislative commission that would actually oversee recognition and reciprocity agreements from here forward.
And this, I got to tell you, Dave, we've had an opportunity to talk with a couple of lawmakers in the state of Virginia, and they've told us that their phones were lit up by constituents when Attorney General Mark Herring unilaterally removed recognition from 25 states. And they said, they were getting a lot of phone calls from a lot of people, and it was fairly unanimous in opposition to this. And they were hearing from people that they didn't ordinarily hear from. This is one of those issues that has a lot of Virginians up in arms, no pun intended, but really, really bothered by this because, look, we live in a state with pretty good gun laws, and we haven't really had an issue with right to carry and reciprocity agreements. And now all of a sudden, seemingly out of the blue, you've got the Attorney General messing with a system that works, and there are a lot of people who are concerned that they're now going to lose their ability to carry in other states because of what Mark Herring has done.
And not only that, but he actually reneged on an agreement that his office, while he was in office himself, agreed to with the state of Kansas. That one was entered into in 2014. Herring was in office, and then just pulls the rug out from underneath them by including them in with the list of 25 states. And that AG in Kansas has been pushing for wanting to know what changed from the time he signed the agreement to December 22nd. This is the issue I think that gun owners can actually successfully overturn. And I think McAuliffe was behind that whole thing. It wasn't just Herring. And McAuliffe was behind that too. And I think this is the issue because you've got bipartisan support on several of those bills that are going through the legislature right now dealing with that matter. And I think that if we work, our legislators between now continue to, light up their phones on this issue, I think that we can get enough Democrats that if a veto does come down on one or more of those bills, that we may be able to overturn it because we can get some Democrats on our side.
Well, and again, I think a lot of that's going to depend on the call volume and the emails and the communications from gun owners. No matter where you live and no matter who your representatives are, make sure that they are aware that this is a concern for you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, Dave, I appreciate you joining us on the program, sir. I'm glad that things are going so well in Virginia, or at least reasonably well early on in the session. And again, you said tomorrow the Senate Courts of Justice Committee taking up the State Senate taking up constitutional carry. This will be the third reading, you said, tomorrow?
It'll be third reading is what will be on the calendar tomorrow, yes.
That
would be final passage.
What have the votes been on the first two readings for constitutional carry? Do you know?
Well, I have it up here. If you just hang on one second, and I can let you know. You know, a lot of those are usually pro forma. If a bill was going to die, it could die on second reading. It was a constitutional reading that was dispensed with 39-0. That doesn't necessarily say that it's going to pass 39-0 on third reading. So it came out of committee 7-5. So I would expect it to kind of come down the usual pro-gun, anti-gun side in the state Senate. What we're looking for is to see how many pro-gun votes we can get, whether we get enough that we can say that we could successfully override a veto if that were to happen.
Boy, I tell you, it'd be a great day for Virginia if we got permitless carry. West Virginia's looking at permitless carry as well. And, you know, I hate to see West Virginia have a pro-gun law that Virginia doesn't have, Dave.
That's true. We should be at least as good as West Virginia.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, I appreciate you coming on the program. Be safe in Richmond with the roads, and look forward to talking again very soon.
You too, Cam. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. Dave Adams, Legislative Affairs Director with the Virginia Shooting Sports Association.